Hello and welcome to the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast. The intention of this podcast is to open your mind, get curious about yourself and connect to the power you hold within. I am your host, Karen Maloney, an inside-out coach, helping you to believe in yourself and manifest your desires. Check out the podcast, available on all platforms, and go to my website, www.karenmaloney.com for all info. Hello everybody. Welcome. It's me, Karen Maloney, and thanks for tuning in for another episode. And this week, I'm talking about figuring things out. And it's really funny. I don't know what exactly came up or what I was thinking about or conversation or what triggered me to kind of go back and do not a life review, but I was just going back and thinking about different challenges, different events, different unexpected hardships, difficulties, sudden things that happened, and just general life and crossroads and all the experiences I've experienced and my years of traveling all around the world, on and off, and just kind of reviewing over them or just glancing back. And one thing that stood out so blatantly obvious to me as I stood here today in that moment, not that it was today I was doing the reflection, but when it happened recently, something that was so obvious was this idea that I had no clue for the most part what I was doing or what was happening or what would happen or what the ultimate end result would be of any situation I was in or travels or whatever the case was. And also that it all worked out, that I figured it out, and I always figured it out. And it didn't matter the situation. It didn't matter how long it took. The reality, and this was the truth coming through of, but I always figured it out. It always worked out one way or another. And I always figured it out. And it just then got me thinking again how, and I've said it before, we're all figuring it out as we go. You know, we somehow pick up this idea or we're sold this story somewhere along the line that life is linear and this is the path and this is how it goes and I have my plan and nothing's going to knock me off my plan. But that's never the truth, because life is always in flux. It's always in a constant state of change because it's always only unfolding in the very moment. But we forget that, and life can often look very stagnant and like not much is happening and not much is changing, and you know, this path is fixed and it is fine and it is going to happen. But again, there's always unexpected twists and turns. As they say, the path is not a linear line, it is a spiral. We're up, we're down, we're forward, we're back. It is a spiral. And you know, again, I've mentioned that no matter who we look to as role models or like top billionaires or the Oprahs or Elon Musks of the world or Richard Bransons or Beyoncés or whoever we look up to as like, wow, they've got it all. We also forget that they're also figuring things out as they go, because their life is still evolving. Their life is still unfolding in every single moment, and they're still figuring things out. But again, when we're on an inner journey, we learn more about ourselves, and we are the driver in our life. So the more that we know about ourselves and trust ourselves and believe in ourselves and follow our own inner nudges and guidance, the more we will evolve and elevate and live our true path. And not that we won't have challenges, but they'll be very different, and we'll feel very different internally living that life as opposed to following a life maybe that makes sense. A lot of things make sense, and I spoke about this in a recent short video on TikTok and Instagram I shared. You know, a lot of things make sense, but making sense doesn't always bring ultimate happiness and fulfillment. A lot of things can make sense and we still feel like shit. A lot of things can make sense and we're still deeply unhappy and anxious and depressed. So it's not about making sense. It's about following our true path. But again, in order to truly follow what's showing up for us, it requires us to live in the moment, to be present, to be okay with not knowing how things are going to unfold. But again, from having done the inner work and building your inner faith and resilience and tools and skills, you know that you will figure it out. And that's the piece. You know you will figure it out. One way or another, you will figure it out. And that was just something so powerful that just kind of, if anyone has had these moments of like deep insight or clarity again, and there's always different levels to it, but when you have that real epiphany again, it's just like, wow, clear as day. And that's what this was again, about this message of, I've always been figuring it out. I always have figured it out. And I will always figure it out as long as I stay true to me and in that knowing that Marie Forleo has a saying, everything is figure outable. And this is the truth. But again, we get so fixated on our idea of how things should be, and we grasp so tightly for things to stay the same that we end up hurting ourselves so much more. And it's not to say that everything's going to change, no, but life is always changing. We as humans are always evolving. Even if it's your best friend or your partner that you've spent a lifetime with, we all evolve and change. And sometimes people don't like when others change. They don't want them to change. And they hold on to the old version of themselves, whether that version was good, bad, or indifferent. But everything's always changing. The only constant is change. And again, it comes back to this idea, and there's a lesson in the Course in Miracles saying, I only see the past. And what that means is we know everything. And this is true in one sense. We know everything from a past association. So whether it's this microphone that I'm speaking into, or it's the cup that you're drinking out of, or whatever the case may be, I only know this is a microphone because of something I learned in the past, because of the past association. And the same with a cup. These are things that we learned from the past. So we know them through the association of the past learning. And that's, how our subconscious is programmed as well. Because of past events, it takes a snapshot and it remembers what happened. And then if anything even mildly similar to a situation in the past, it will play the old program of whether get defensive, shut down, get angry, run away, avoid, whatever the case may be, whatever we learned in that moment to do, which was the thing we needed in that moment, but then that program was stored. So because there's something that's even mildly similar, our subconscious goes, oh, I know how to deal with this, and we automatically play that program because of the past association. So essentially we're all living the past because of all the past associations and because of our discomfort with the unknown, with the present. Because again, the present will always be unknown because we can never know something that hasn't happened yet. We can never know something that's only ever unfolding in every single moment. Now. They're all brand new moments. It's not one continuum. It feels that way, but it's an ever evolving brand new moment, a brand new millisecond, a brand new present moment for something new. And again, we've all had experiences where we've had maybe our world turned upside down from one moment to the next. But again, and I invite you to think back on any challenges or difficulties or those moments when you were sideswiped or your life was turned upside down or everything changed. Just replay them in your mind. And important, if there's still an emotional charge there, if when you go back to a memory, it brings up a strong emotional charge right now, don't do it. Because again, our brain doesn't know whether it's just a thought in our head or we're actually in that situation now. So if you still have an emotional charge, don't do it. But if you can, just scan and review and go back to some moments in your life where you thought, maybe I'll never get through this, I'll never survive, this is horrendous, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And just see what happened since then. And just notice that no matter what happened, you did figure it out. Because you wouldn't be where you are today without figuring it out. And figuring it out doesn't mean that you have an instant solution and it's all changed, or it's all better, or it's all good again. Figuring it out is a step-by-step, moment-to-moment process. Because again, how can we know what we have to figure out when it hasn't happened yet? And then this ties in with worry and how futile worry is. Because why waste your precious life force energy and the only time that you do have, your now, and all these unfolding moments right now, why waste them with worry about something that hasn't even happened? Again, look back for evidence in your life in how you did figure things out when things showed up out of the blue previously, so you know you can do it. And also this, what was that song? I didn't know my own strength. I know that is definitely a truth for me. I didn't realize my own inner strength, but I didn't have to realize it until the time when I needed to lean on it to figure things out. So that's there. It's always going to be there. It's this idea of being accountable to ourselves, taking the time to invest in ourselves. And I mean invest in ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, looking after ourselves, making ourselves a priority, having some tools and resources that we can go to internally that can help us sort through our thoughts and emotions that are coming up for us and the challenges and the difficulties that we're experiencing. Because that's the investment that will see us through life. And it reminds me of the book Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. A great book for anyone who hasn't read it, and one that's spoken about a lot in psychology, personal development circles. And he was in the concentration camps and he lost all his family, everyone, friends. They were all tortured around him, but he survived. And he got through it and he made, quote unquote, the best of that situation. But one thing that he said in the book, and this is the power and why it's so important that we have ourselves, we know ourselves, we lean on ourselves, we invest in ourselves. Because he said, people can take everything from you. They can take your family, your friends, your home, your money, your clothes, physically beat you, hurt you, torture you, but they can never, ever, ever, ever take away your ability to create your own meaning of the situation. And again, that's our power. And that was him figuring things out as he was living the experience. And I learned this truth as well when I lost everything from a traumatic breakup. The thing I actually lost the most was myself, because I thought who I was needed to be validated by externals. By the job, by having salary, a career, a car, all these different things. Whereas actually when I lost everything, and it was really vulnerable and exposing and difficult, but then I realized, oh no, because I have me. And as long as I have me, and as long as I have my own inner resources, again, I know I can figure everything out. I know there'll always be a solution, because that has been the evidence of my life so far. And I bet if you look back as well, that will be the evidence of your life as well. So that was just something that was coming up really strong. And I just wanted to record a short episode on it. This idea of figuring things out and trusting and knowing and believing in your ability to figure things out. Because again, we don't even know what we need to figure out yet, because our life is ever unfolding. So don't worry about it, because again, worrying about it is, there's another saying, worry is praying for exactly what you don't want. And that's your work, to change your focus from worrying to something else. That's the work. Again, it's easy. It's actually easier to live in worry, to live in fear, to live in anxiety, to live in doubt, to live in the comfort sometimes. It's easier in one way, even though it makes us feel crap. It's actually easier than taking accountability, than sitting with yourself, allowing yourself to feel and acknowledge and release and express whatever you need to express, and to change that habit, because that's all it is. That habit of thinking about worry all the time and changing it to something else. Again, that's the work, and that's your accountability to you, and that's your power. That is all your power. Nobody else can do that for you. And the more that you stand in that power and take back that power and realize that, oh yes, you don't have to live at the mercy of your thoughts the whole time. You don't have to live in this sense of worry and wondering what you will do. You can instead focus on trusting, believing, building your own inner resources, and then knowing that you will figure it out, as you already have multiple times over in your life so far. Like even, anything. The first day going to school, even as kids, or university or secondary school, terrified. We figured it out. First day in a new job or starting your career path, terrified, not knowing what to expect. You figured it out. Maybe first time in a relationship, being intimate, terrified. You figured it out. First time having a baby, terrified. You figured it out. So again, we're always figuring everything out all the time. So why do we forget this? And why do we choose to forget our inner strength, our inner knowing, our inner capabilities? So why not focus on that instead? Be more present in that and drop the worry and the fear. So let me know what you think. Does that land with anyone? Does that make sense? Because that was just coming up really strong for me. And again, that remembrance of, oh yes, I have been figuring everything out. I am figuring everything out. And I will continue to figure everything out, no matter what. So let me know what you think. And again, as always, if anyone wants to go deeper and support in that initial phase of rewiring and doing the inner work and changing maybe those habitual worry thoughts to more of belief and faith, reach out to me, send me an email, support@karenmaloney.com, and we'll chat. Bye.